A new expansion has hit the world of Guild Wars 2, and I was gifted the chance to get an early look at the newest adventure. For the sake of newness of this expansion, this video will not include any major story spoilers, but will showcase gameplay of the new maps to serve as a backdrop. Without further ado, let me share with you my thoughts and experiences with Visions of Eternity so far. If Guild Wars 2 champions one thing, it's definitely their story. And this time around, we're traveling to a truly uncharted territory, with whispers of the shady Asuran inquest charting off to a mysterious land in search of something. It naturally draws the attention of the heroes of Tyria. Chasing after this nefarious group, we recruit the aid of Saida, Canuck, Isgarin, and Ritlock, and set off to a land known to sailors as myth, Castora. For Visions of Eternity, I found myself really enjoying the pacing of the introduction, which is in strong contrast to last expansion's introduction instance, which was a dialogue-heavy business meeting, one could say. We set out by sleuthing around some Asuran bureaucracy and aiding in eliminating some undercover foes we find along the way, and this puts the player in a much more active role from the jump, and it keeps the ball rolling steady in this direction throughout the first few chapters. Eventually making our way to the island of Castora, the game does a fair job at delivering on that shipwrecked feel that draws in a sense of uneasy mystery. What new creatures lie in wait to strike? How do we gather ourselves to regain stability? And who might be out there to aid or harm us? And when it comes to the character writing with these characters of Saida, Canuck, Isgarin, and Ritlock, I've enjoyed it. And I found myself particularly enthused with the one and only Canuck, who's making his somewhat reintroduction with his adventures with Saida. It's been a while, so I'm excited to see more of Canuck. But Guild Wars 2 typically delivers a colorful cast of characters, each fulfilling an individualized tone and purpose. And with what I've experienced, this expansion continues to deliver on that front. Seeing where the story is heading makes this seemingly random cast make just a little more sense, so I'm excited to see where the writing takes these Tyrian figures in this new, uncharted land of Castora, to also see how they work not only with their own journeys, but how they interact with the other members of the cast. All in all, the early access kept me entertained when it came to exploring a completely new world within Guild Wars 2. And I haven't cracked more than the surface, so I'll reserve more strong verdicts for the future. However, I have felt a subtle issue here and there, especially with pacing. Some of the instances have periods of waiting around while traveling to various locations, and this decision does make it feel more true to life when it comes to voyages, but in a game, momentum can be everything. You don't want to go too quickly, but you certainly don't want to spend too much time not doing anything. And if these troublesome instances also lack any environmental or artistic excitement, it doesn't really make much sense. I also think the sense of being a fish out of water on the island was taken away just a bit early. And I know I said not too many spoilers, but that was my one gripe. With Guild Wars 2's first expansion, Heart of Thorns, they nailed this element of suspense and danger, but it seems that Visions of Eternity won't meet that same level of atmospheric discomfort. Visions of Eternity launches with two beautiful maps, the Shipwreck Strand and the Starlit Weald. Most of my time playing in the early access was in the first map, Shipwreck Strand, which feels more focused on open-world exploration, dynamic event chains, and additional quests to unlock via side stories, and maybe even through the main story chapters. I had a lot of fun discovering the nooks and crannies of the zone, and I still feel like I haven't uncovered every single secret, despite basically living in this map for a couple days. As the gameplay seems more classically open-world focused, I did not get the sense that we'll be experiencing some grand meta-event set piece that's super cinematic, but I'm also not really saddened by this. I kind of believe that a variety is essential in map design, and it also makes those specific meta maps feel much more bespoke and special. And the second map, Starlit Weald, hit me in my heart, pun intended, for the sake of its nostalgic feel. This really gave me Heart of Thorns vibes, particularly akin to the map of to rear, and Orc Basin, a little bit of Tangled Depths. It's just truly enchanting and beautiful. You can see magic floating through the air, large trees obscuring and directing your vision, leading you to paths that they allow you to pass through as if the environment is guiding you to a certain location, and refreshing waterfalls and pools add those final notes of grandeur to the map. I can't comment too much more on the details of this map, spoilers, and also just because I didn't play too much of it, but I'm very excited to see what this map has to offer as we venture deeper into this land of Castora. From the beta event held some time ago, the 9 elite specializations coming with Visions of Eternity have all received tweaks and tunings, and I gotta say, they almost all feel better to play. Thankfully, I didn't play a single elite specialization that got worse, so it was genuinely all up from wherever they started off of. And I played mostly Ritualist this go around and loved how the Shroud felt in comparison to the first time playing. I also liked the additions that they brought to the Revenant elite specialization with the Conduit. Didn't really have a profession mechanic to begin with, so it just feels like a much more solid start to a new expansion and a new elite specialization as well. The only spec that I feel like still needs more time is probably the Luminary. And of course, they have additions and changes that have made it better, but I still don't think it's hit in the way that I'm wanting it to. All in all, the blog post outlining the changes that are coming with the expansion launch seemed more or less accurate in terms of refining that elite specialization's aesthetic and gameplay, and hopefully making it just a better experience for more players. So I definitely say give as many elite specs a chance as you're interested in. Music. What a crucial element to conjuring up any world and making it feel like it can stand on its own, especially amongst the decades-long histories of the Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1 IPs. Visions of Eternity serves up a truly individualized soundtrack with enchanting and mesmerizing pieces. With the story so heavily focused on magic and technology, the music reflects the narrative with its use of echoing vocalizations, expansive air instrumentals, reverberating percussions, and energy-intensive battle tracks. With each expansion, I have an underlying interest in the soundtrack that I always have Heart of Thorns as my #1 spot. So every time that we get a new batch of music, I'm always seeing how it feels in comparison to the previous ones. And I gotta say, Visions of Eternity, definitely up there. I think I had the most fun listening to this soundtrack just by wandering around the maps. The ambient music for Castora is absolutely fantastic. So I think this will definitely be a soundtrack that I will revisit on multiple occasions and keep the music on while playing. And those are all of my first impression thoughts. When it comes to a very spoiler-free take on the story, my somewhat limited experience with the actual maps and all of the event chains, of course I was really playing by myself, so I wasn't able to get the full sense of how it feels in an MMO setting with multiple players, and also getting to test out a little bit of the changes for the elite specializations. I think that all in all, Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity is looking to be a very solid expansion and addition for this game, probably offering a good amount of entertainment for almost any Guild Wars 2 lover out there. And also, this seems like a fairly decent expansion to enter if you are perhaps new and newer to Guild Wars 2. It doesn't seem all too overwhelming with complex reworks and adjustments, so it just seems like a nice, fun story to slip into that doesn't have too many pre-existing lore bites, and you'll get to truly experience something new alongside all other veteran players. So, if you're interested in purchasing and trying out Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity, feel free to use my links down below. Thank you so much to ArenaNet for giving me early access, and also offering me these links to help supply you, dear viewer, with some good quality entertainment and gaming. If you'd like to check me out over on Twitch, I stream on the weekends, and I'll be streaming all this week playing the expansion. And subscribe, like, and comment down below your thoughts about your first impressions for Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity. Thank you all so much for coming on by. Pretty cool. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Mwah.